You'll know if you should buy Don't Lose Aggro in the next 115 seconds. Here's your TLDR. If you want to tank like you're in an MMO but don't want to deal with the toxicity of Sweatlord teammates or the minutiae of mob percentages, routes, and timers, Don't Lose Aggro is a strong solution to that itch built by a 20-year MMO veteran tank who decided to work on this instead of GTA 6. Also, if you're taking to the comments to tell me how bad I am that I dislike artificial Mythic Plus mechanics, don't cite the old magic to me. I was there when it was written. I'm part of the reason you have to do that nonsense now after the absurdity my group inflicted on dungeons in Vanilla, Burning Crusade, and Wrath. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use the one you have more of more often. Yeah? Anyone who's played Prot Paladin, Warrior, or Death Knight from that game will immediately feel right at home. Mobs beeline for healers in a deliciously frustrating and satisfying way, and if you're clever about managing cooldowns, all the old familiar tricks like kiting, chaining stuns, roots, pulls, or interrupts are just as rewarding here as when you go clutch and 5-man the last 3 adds a Domo in 2005. Now, for those of you who don't know what tanking is, imagine a group of people are playing a co-op PvE game with distinct roles. Damage classes do what it says on the tin and stand and fire, the healer tries to keep everyone alive while developing ulcers, and the tank's job is to keep the attention of all the bad guys on them so they don't drop the other squishier classes while trying to avoid misanthropy. The game runs well. Downside is there's not much in the way of graphics options customization, which depending upon your preferences, borders on insulting for a game in 2026. The early game is rough until you unlock additional equipment and talent points that significantly change your build and let you go from wet paper bag to clamshell on scissors. Know that you're in for a bit of a grind. Seriously, it's a thing. It's very early access. There's jank, but there's also a pretty receptive and responsive dev patching things as more people play and provide feedback. If you want the feeling of dungeon crawls, raid boss rushes, or wave-based survival, laughing all the way as hordes of crunchies break themselves upon the bulwark of your resolve, you'll eat well here. If you want a full party of NPCs waylaying bad guys while you herd cats, or expect day 1 polish, this is a hard wishlist and wait. Don't Lose Aggro released on PC to early access on April 15th, 2026 at $9.99 US or your regional equivalent. And if all you wanted was that TLDR, cool, I get it. Thanks for sticking around. Do us a favor before you go, hit the YouTube buttons before you go, and have a fight about whether the Ren swords are hunter loot in the comments. It helps the robots at YouTube understand that this is a helpful video that doesn't make people wait until the last 2 minutes to get the piece of information that they actually wanted and push it to more people. But if you want a more detailed breakdown, stick around. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Squid. I cover primarily action and shooter titles with the occasional essay or gear review, or things like this, avoiding relapse as a recovering MMO addict. It was a phase. Don't judge me. Some of my best friendships came from the early days of WoW and Guild Wars. Moving on to the core gameplay loop. If you played any of the tanky classes in MMOs over the past 20 years, this is that. It's just tanking, but without needing to hit looking for group channels, guild drama, or healer whinge about mana and Discord, or DPS who like to blow cooldowns before you've even aggroed the next pack and taunt is on cooldown. No, I'm not salty. Why would you ask? So this is pretty great, honestly. And at the time of this writing, there's 3 modes: standard dungeon crawl with a couple difficulty levels, a wave defense mode which spikes my cortisol remembering how extra ads would beeline for a healer who just dumped a several thousand point leaf on me, and that was a lot of aggro to have to get past without taunt. And a boss rush mode, which is on the rough side at the moment, but recent patches specifically started tweaking. Now, regardless of the mode, you'll drop in, collect XP to level up and earn more spells and upgrade them, and chase the objective while chasing mobs. Rinse, repeat. It doesn't need to be complicated. This is the very essence of tanking. Moving on to performance and settings. I tested this on 3 machines. My main with a 9800 X3D and 5090, the streaming PC with a 4090 and a silly CPU bottleneck, and a laptop with an AMD card roughly equivalent to a 2080. It ran fine all around on high. I'd really like to see more granular options for tweaking graphic settings, but that's because I'm allergic to motion blur and artificial limitations on agency. If you're on anything other than a phone, you can likely run this. It's fine. Now, moving on to things that'll wear you down over time. All of these are front-loaded, which is both good and bad. The early game grind is bad. I can't and won't sugarcoat this. You'll be limited by talent point gating until around level 15 at a minimum, and that can be frustrating. You see how something can work and be limited by math, and at least for me, that's a feels bad man moment. Some of the balancing still needs work. The last weapon feels comparatively underpowered in light of the rest, and this might just be a me thing with the way I tanked over the years, but some of the spells and gear are just plainly better than the others. The good news here is that I think a lot of the things I noticed at least can be tweaked with number adjustments. Longer term, I'd really like to see the option to have a full party of NPCs, but I don't know the viability of that with the engine and codebase. And speaking of tweaks, since early access release, the developer has been on a tear with updates, fixes, and changes which listen to player feedback without losing sight of their intended vision. So depending upon your tolerance for rough edges and pacing, this is either a day one purchase or maybe a time to exercise some patience. So, wrapping things up here with my thoughts on the value in the Burrito Index, which, if you're new here, that's where I compare how happy the game makes me versus just spending that money on Al Pastor burritos. This is solid at 0.8 burritos. Seriously, you'd be lucky to get a Crunch Wrap and Baja Blast, which is just Mountain Dew and Blue Powerade, by the way. That's why they're next to each other at the soda fountain for that price. And this is far more satisfying with less than half the gastric distress. So unless you're the type who likes to rage at teammates because you stood in the fire or pulled ads, which it's weird, you're still here. But hey, everybody has a growth arc. You'll absolutely get your money's worth of fun and time deletion. If you want the feeling of an old school dungeon crawl without a squeaker raging in chat because you're not playing the meta, or you just want to get tank rotations in without the obligations of guild applications, a second job, this is for you. It is not for you right now if you demand pristine day one polish, want to tank for a full party of 5, or you enjoy arbitrary artificial modifiers to difficulty. Seriously, a time limit is the laziest way to add difficulty to a thing. You can do it or you can't. Anyhow, if you made it this far, the robots at YouTube think you'll also enjoy the video popping up on screen now over there. I think it's over there. I've been Bald Squid. I'll see you next time.